Hey everyone, welcome back to another NES Archive where we are taking a look at the North American NES library one game at a time. Today's game was originally released for the Nintendo Entertainment System on October 18th, 1985. The game is Ice Climber. Ice Climber was part of the Action series of games, and it was a platformer, I guess, not in the true sense of the word. The tagline is, "It's only you and your ice hammer as you make your way to the top of the mountain." The back of the box reads, "If you can break through 8 levels of treacherous Arctic ice, you'll reach the top of the mountain. But watch out, there's nitpickers, condors, and polar bears, and they don't want you up there. And they've got a bag of tricks that will test every ounce of strength and courage. Are you going to let them stop you? No way." There are 32 mountains to choose from, and endless thrills as you fight these Arctic creatures alone or with a friend, and ascend to the top of the mountain in Ice Climber. The game was developed by Nintendo R&D1, and the design team included producers Matsuyuki Uemura, supervisor Shigeru Miyamoto. The director was Kenji Miki. There were 2 programmers on this one, Kazuaki Morita and Toshihiko Nakago. The graphic designer on the game was Tadashi Sugiyama, and they also had Akito Nakasuka and Hirokazu Tanaka on sound. This is probably the largest team that I've seen for the launch games for the NES, and they share credits with Mario, Zelda, Kirby, Earthbound, F-Zero, Metroid Prime, Star Fox, Wii Fit U, and I mean, if you click on these guys' resumes, there's just so much of my childhood here. They made a lot of the games that I played. In Ice Climber, you play as either Popo, wearing blue, or Nana, wearing pink, and you start at the bottom and have to climb up. The jumping is very floaty and kind of hard to control. Sometimes you can kind of jump through the floor. I felt like the hit detection is kind of weak. Popo and Nana are clearly more than 1 block wide, but they can jump through 1 block wide spaces. I guess my only explanation is that they're really, really skinny people with giant parkas on that kind of mat down as they go through a space like a big fluffy dog. When you jump, you bounce off walls and you slide and skid around, which makes sense. You are on ice after all. It took me a little while to figure out that you could also walk through the wall on one side and come out on the other side, which really makes things a lot easier. Like I said before, you start at the bottom and you work your way up. And as you jump, you swing your hammer and hit the floor above you with your hammer, carving out a little hole. Then you can jump through that hole you carved and repeat. The enemies include Topi, which will fill in the holes that you carve in the floors. So if you don't go fast enough, your progress will be taken away. Nitpickers, which are these birds that kind of fly around you, as well as polar bears, which they'll do a jump and kind of knock the whole floors all down. So if you don't move fast enough, you can get killed that way. Any enemies that get too close to you, you can hit them with your hammer and it'll stun them, which you're going to have to do this quite a bit if you're going to make progress because they're constantly getting in your way. If you get through the 8 levels, you get to go to the bonus round. This is where you pick up eggplants, which again, they're focusing on eggplants. It's so weird. I mean, yes, sometimes you pick up carrots, but this is like the 3rd NES launch game that I've talked about where there are eggplants focused in the game. It's really strange to me. I don't know what is up with that. And if you do, let me know. If you get to the top during the bonus round, you can jump up and grab the feet of the condor for extra points. I will say that the music in this game is really, really good. Ice Climber had pretty good reception. Generation 4 gave the game a 74. Tilt Magazine gave it an 80. Both magazines are in French, so I'm paraphrasing here, but Tilt Magazine said that Ice Climber is a simple and fun game. It has a high quality, but what puts it over other games is its easy access. If you like Space Invaders, you might be disappointed, but if you're not into shooters, then you'll probably appreciate it. My thoughts are Ice Climber has potential to be a pretty great game. It's got great music. The graphics are very colorful with a good variety of enemies to deal with in different ways. I felt like the levels were well designed and can offer a pretty good challenge. But the game is definitely hampered by the awful jumping, which for me was really frustrating. I had a lot of trouble controlling my character. It's almost like when you jump, you lose all forward momentum. Much more like Mega Man than Mario, but not even as good as Mega Man. A couple pieces of trivia about the game. Ice Climbers are actually playable characters in multiple versions of Smash. In Smash 4 for the Wii U and 3DS, they took them out mostly because the 3DS couldn't handle putting both Ice Climbers on the screen at the same time. At least that's what Nintendo said. I always thought this game was called Ice Climbers because of Smash, because I never played this when I was a kid. I never knew that the game wasn't plural. I feel like Ice Climber is a pretty divisive game. People either figure out the controls, in which case they think it's great because it's really well designed, or they can't stand the bizarre feel of the jumping mechanic and they hate it. I'm personally not a fan of Ice Climber, but I'm curious as to what you guys think. So feel free to tell me why I'm wrong about Ice Climber. That's it for this episode of NES Archive. Make sure that you check out the rest of them. We're just about done with the launch games for the NES, and then we'll move on to stuff that's probably not by Nintendo.